They just celebrated their wedding anniversary 2 weeks ago, and was happy about it. So I don't understand. I don't understand how this could happen.
Sable Court, a quiet, dead-end street in Daphne, Alabama, where children play until dark and neighbors still wave hello, where faith runs deep and families feel safe until they don't. August 14th, 2025. Deputies respond to a welfare check. A family that always answers their phone suddenly goes silent. When officers force their way through the front door of the Smith home, they find 4 bodies, a mother, a father, 2 children, all shot dead. To everyone who knew them, Kenneth and Lara Smith were the picture-perfect Christian family, married for years, active in church, devoted parents to 15-year-old Christian and 11-year-old Kinsley. Just 2 weeks before their deaths, they celebrated another wedding anniversary, still holding hands, still in love. But in those early morning hours, Kenneth Smith took a 9mm handgun and executed his entire family before turning the weapon on himself. No warning signs, no police calls, no red flags. How does a family that looks this perfect end in such horror? Let me take you back to where it all began, because this story will shake you to your core. Lara Gaines grew up about 30 minutes south in Bay Minette, Alabama. You know, the type small-town girl who never made everything about herself. At Baldwin County High School, she was that friend who helped you pass your test instead of competing with you. The one who remembered your birthday when nobody else did. This wasn't some Hollywood story. Lara stayed close to home after graduation, building her future one semester at a time. Community college first, then University of South Alabama. No shortcuts, no drama, just grinding towards something better. When she settled in Daphne, it wasn't temporary. This was home. She became a realtor with Exit Realty Lion in Fairhope, helping families find their piece of the American dream. But Lara saw more than dollar signs. She saw the hope in a young couple's eyes, the relief of a single mother finally finding something she could afford. Real estate was just one part of her calling. Lara also worked in caregiving and health support, the kind of work that requires your whole heart, where showing up means everything. And kindness pays more than money ever could. If you knew Lara at City Hope Church, you knew her everywhere else. She wasn't putting on a Sunday face. This woman was the real deal, quick to offer a ride when your car broke down, first to bring food when tragedy hit, the type who actually remembered what you asked prayer for and checked on you later. Her faith wasn't for the gram, no inspirational quotes or church selfies, just quiet devotion lived out in grocery store parking lots and fellowship halls. She kept phone numbers of people who needed checking on, sent texts at exactly the right moment, dropped off meals without expecting credit. When Lara became a mother, that giving spirit only got stronger. She managed school drop-offs, church commitments, client meetings, and community service like she had superpowers. If Lara said she'd be somewhere, she showed up, early, ready to work. This woman took secondhand furniture and made it beautiful for families, stretching every dollar. Spent Saturdays helping people fill out forms who didn't know where to start. Bought groceries for neighbors going through hard times. Always delivered quietly because she understood dignity. Her phone stayed busy with check-ins. Made it home safe. Still need that ride? Want me to bring anything? Teachers called her when they needed help. Neighbors knew her porch light meant safety, even in the dark. Faith, family, service. That's what drove Lara Smith every single day. She prayed consistently, showed up reliably, and served without expecting applause. In a world that mistakes noise for meaning, she was the opposite, quiet power that changed lives. Then she met Kenneth. Kenneth Smith Jr. came from a different background but shared those same core values. This man was a veteran who carried himself like he meant business, the kind of presence that made you feel protected just being in the same room. Kenny wasn't loud or flashy. He commanded respect by walking into a space. When he stood somewhere, people felt safe. His military service shaped him, but his faith defined him. People who knew Kenny described him as solid, A man of his word who took being a husband and father seriously. Neighbors saw him as quiet strength, approachable when you needed him, private when you didn't, but always protective. If Lara brought warmth, Kenny brought security. When they fell in love, it made perfect sense to everyone watching. No drama, no chaos. Just two people building something real together. Their wedding wasn't just a ceremony, it was the foundation for what everyone would point to as relationship goals. While other couples were falling apart, the Smiths stood as proof that faith-based love could actually work. At City Hope Church, they weren't just Sunday visitors. For nearly 20 years, they were the pillars, volunteers at every event. The couple pastors could count on when important things needed handling. Together, Kenny and Lara built a home that reflected everything they believed. Warm lights at night, laughter in the yard, children being raised with love, structure, and purpose. If you wanted to see what a strong family looked like, you looked at the Sims. Their children were everything to them. Christian Smith, at 15, was becoming the man his parents raised him to be. Athletic, funny, the kind of teenager who could joke with friends, then surprise adults with his maturity. Teachers at Daphne High School loved having him in class. Positive energy, good influence, bright future ahead. Kinsley Smith, 11 years old, was pure joy walking around in sneakers. Bright, vibrant, beloved at Daphne East Elementary. The kind of child who lit up every room she entered. Her smile could turn around the worst day. Her laugh was infectious. Watching Christian and Kinsley together showed you what sibling love was supposed to look like. Big brother protection, little sister spirit, each one making the other better. This family of four wasn't just surviving, they were thriving. Sunday worship, weekday practices, school events, family dinners, the rhythm of a life that most people only dream about. Even after years of marriage, Kenny and Lara still looked like they were dating, still held hands at church, still smiled at each other with real love instead of obligation. Just 2 weeks before their deaths, they celebrated another anniversary, and friends couldn't get over how happy they still looked. They were proof that love could last, that faith could sustain, that commitment could endure when life got complicated, which makes what happened next almost impossible to process. The hours before the Smith family died remain a mystery that haunts everyone who loved them. No neighbors heard arguments, no friends got frantic calls, no family members noticed anything wrong during their last conversations. But somewhere in those final hours, something went catastrophically wrong. A family member had been trying to reach the Smiths and couldn't get through. Phones that AL always got answered stayed silent, message after message, call after call, nothing.
Tonight to a story that has rocked the Eastern Shore. An entire family killed in a murder-suicide.
Crime scene tape surrounding a home in Daphne this morning. Inside, investigators say a man shot and killed his wife and 2 children, then shot himself.
Kenneth Smith Jr. is said to be the killer. The 3 other victims, Lara Smith and 15-year-old Christian Smith and 11-year-old Kinsley Smith. New tonight, we are hearing from a former co-worker of Lara Smith who was a realtor in Fairhope.
Our Claudia Nichols has your late reporting. And Claudia, that neighborhood you're in, where the family lived, it's close-knit.
It is Lanice and Cameron. Now let me show you what's been set up here in the neighborhood tonight. A small gathering of friends and neighbors over there. They've taken some candles and lined them up on the sidewalk as a way to honor this family. You can see some more candles, flowers and balloons piled up there near the mailbox. Now, neighbors are telling me they are still in disbelief after hearing about this tragedy, and they only had good things to say about this family.
Whether you just kind of imagine it'd be a certain kind of family that would happen to, and you never think something like that would happen to them because she was always so quiet and polite and everything. But it was, I mean, it's It's horrible.
Tonight, a horrific ending to the lives of a family of 4 in Daphne. Deputies discovered the family members dead from gunshot wounds inside their home on Sable Court early this morning.
To see a family gone it's awful.
Investigators outside the home today trying to piece together what happened.
This is going to be a multiple murder and suicide scene. But again, it's as tragic as it comes.
Kenneth Smith Jr. is suspected of shooting his wife, Lara Smith, and their 2 children, 15-year-old Christian Smith and 11-year-old Kinsley Smith. This picture of Lara, taken at a staff Christmas party a few years ago when she was a real estate agent at Exit Realty Lyon in Fairhope. Although Lara hasn't worked there since 2018, owner of the agency, Sue Lyon, says she'll never forget her.
She was so sweet. She was very quiet. She was the kind of person that you just thought, man, she's going to work so great in real estate.
Deputies were called to this home for a welfare check after a family member who doesn't live here reached out. Deputies forced their way inside of the home, and that's when they made the chilling discovery. Like many others, Lyon says she still can't wrap her mind around what happened.
I just couldn't believe something like that would happen.
And the family's neighbors also in shock.
She just told me they just celebrated their wedding anniversary 2 weeks ago, and was happy about it. So I don't understand. I don't understand how this could happen.
In the darkness of early morning, there may have been one last desperate attempt to reach help. Did one of the children try to call someone during an argument? Did they dial a relative only for the line to go dead too soon? We'll never know, but that possibility haunts everyone who loved this family. What could have pushed Kenny Smith, the man of faith, a veteran, a father who seemed devoted to his children, to pick up a gun and destroy everything he had spent years building? Hidden marriage problems, financial pressure building for months, mental health struggles kept secret, family issues that finally exploded in those early morning hours. The truth died with him. 3:30 a.m., maybe 4 o'clock. The exact time will never be certain, but in those dark hours when Daphne slept peacefully, Kenneth Smith Jr. made a decision that would destroy everything. He took a 9mm handgun. First, he shot Lara, 41 years old, the woman who had loved him faithfully, who had celebrated their anniversary just 2 weeks earlier, who had built a life of service and devotion. Then 15-year-old Christian, a sophomore with his whole future stretching ahead, athletic, well-liked, the kind of young man who made his teachers proud. His own father shot him dead. 11-year-old Kinsley, bright, joyful, beloved by everyone who knew her. A little girl whose energy and laughter filled every space. Kenny Smith looked at his own daughter and pulled the trigger. Finally, he turned the weapon on himself. 4 gunshots. 4 lives ended. A family completely destroyed in minutes. The 9mm handgun fell beside Kenny's body, where deputies would find it hours later. Whatever drove him to this moment, whatever pain or rage or desperation consumed him, died with him on that floor. Around 4 a.m., Baldwin County Sheriff's deputies arrived at the Smith house on Sable Court for a welfare check. The concerned family member who couldn't reach them had called for help. Deputies knocked, silence, no footsteps, no voices, no movement inside the house that had always been full of life. With growing dread, they forced their way through the front door. What they found was a scene that would haunt even the most experienced officers. 4 bodies. A family that had been celebrating their anniversary 2 weeks earlier, now reduced to a crime scene that would never make sense. Sheriff Anthony Lowery didn't try to soften the reality when he spoke to reporters. A family was gone, and the questions left behind might never get answers. Investigators immediately started combing through every detail. Crime scene photos, evidence cataloged, the 9mm handgun secured, cell phones and computers seized, searched for any digital breadcrumb that might explain what happened. Threatening messages, emails hinting at trouble, text conversations revealing growing tension, search history showing someone planning violence. What they discovered was almost as disturbing as the crime itself. No prior domestic violence calls had ever been made to the Smith home, no documented history of police intervention, no trail of warning signs in any official record. To law enforcement, this family had been invisible in the best possible way, until suddenly they weren't. That absence of red flags makes everything infinitely harder. When your suspect dies at the scene, detectives lose their chance to get answers. No interrogation room, no pressure for confessions, no opportunity to break down the story. Instead, they're left with pieces that may never fit together. Digital footprints leading nowhere. Testimony from family and friends who are just as shocked as everyone else. Timelines that will never perfectly align. The official determination was clear. Domestic situation that escalated to murder-suicide. But what that actually means, what took place in those final hours, what drove Kenny Smith to destroy his entire family, remains locked away forever. There would be no arrest, no trial, no dramatic courtroom moments or tearful victim statements. Kenny Smith had served as his own judge, jury, and executioner, taking any chance for real justice with him when he pulled that trigger one final time. The investigation continued for weeks, but it was mostly procedural, confirming what everyone already knew, processing evidence that would never see a courtroom, building a case file for a crime that would never need prosecution. Sheriff Lowery held press conferences, answered what questions he could, but the most important questions had no answers. Why did this happen? What warning signs did everyone miss? How could a family that looked so perfect hide such devastating darkness? Those answers died on Sable Court. The news hit Daphne like a tsunami. At Daphne High School, grief counselors rushed in to help Christian's classmates process losing a friend who had been laughing with them just days before. At Daphne East Elementary, teachers struggled to find words as children left flowers and drawings for Kinsley. Friends and neighbors were united in complete shock. Over and over, they described the Smiths as a loving Christian family, the kind you trusted with your own children, the kind you pointed to when people said good marriages don't exist. I would have been the last family I would have ever guessed, said Matt Russell, who lived across the street and had known the Smiths for 20 years. Just a wonderful, wonderful family. But something had gone horrifically wrong in those early morning hours. City Hope Church, where Kenny and Lara had worshiped for nearly 2 decades, opened its doors for prayer and counseling. Pastors urged the community to come together in support rather than speculation, but the questions wouldn't stop. The community held a candlelight vigil, hundreds of flickering lights and bowed heads. Many wore pink, purple, and blue to honor the family. Teddy bears, flowers, balloons, and a signed football appeared outside the Smith home. Even strangers stopped to pay their respects. Lyrica's best friend wrote on social media, "My friend, my best friend through high school and a friend until now. God, please help me understand this. She loved her babies. This girl was there for me. She was at the hospital during the birth of my children, praying over me and them both times. This doesn't make sense." Nothing about it made sense. The Smiths leave behind a shattered community still trying to understand how love and violence could exist in the same house. What looked like the picture of faith and family ended in devastating tragedy. Investigators continue searching for answers that may never come, but one truth remains: an entire family is gone, leaving only grief and questions where joy once lived. This case reminds us that domestic violence doesn't always look like what we expect. Sometimes the families that seem the happiest are fighting battles nobody else can see. Sometimes the people we trust most are carrying burdens that could destroy everything. The Smith family tragedy shows us that perfection is often just an illusion, that even faith, love, and community can't always prevent darkness from winning. 4 lives cut short, a community forever changed, questions that will haunt Daphne, Alabama for generations. If this story shook you, smash that like button and subscribe to Trending Crime Vault. We're building a community of people who want the truth behind these tragedies, not just the headlines. Hit that notification bell so you never miss when we drop new cases. We're here every single day with stories that need to be told. Drop a comment below. Have you ever known a family that seemed perfect from the outside? What warning signs do you think people should watch for? Your voice matters in this community. And remember, if you or someone you know is struggling with domestic violence, help is available. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-7233. Sometimes reaching out is the hardest thing to do, but it might save a life. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next case that needs justice.